Obviously, it's no surprise to anybody that the former president went after you very hard after the Georgia 2020 results, said that you were not strong enough on election integrity.
Well, Martha, I would just say, I'm very appreciative, still am, of everything that President Trump and Vice President Pence did for our state, especially during the pandemic.
So that is Brian Kemp, who is running in the Republican primary to stay on to try to continue as governor of Georgia, and he's reminded that Trump blames him for Trump losing the 2020 election. Which, if you're new to American politics, here is how this goes. Trump lost a ton of states that he needed to win to be president. Kemp couldn't overturn the will of the voters and refused to even try. Even if he had, Trump still would have lost by a ton. But somehow it's Kemp's fault. And so because of that, despite them agreeing on like literally everything, there's no substance there to disagree on. Trump is supporting David Perdue in his bid to take out Kemp. But despite all of that, despite Trump blaming Kemp for his election loss, despite him endorsing his primary challenger, Kemp is still a Republican, so he has to say, it's great, they're the best. I love all of what they did when they tried to overthrow democracy and then blame me for the fact that their coup failed. I thought that was really awesome. And by the way, it isn't just that he criticized him. It isn't just that he implied that the Republican challenger would be better. Trump went a step further than that, which you'll see in this clip.
When Stacey Abrams says, I'm not going to concede, that's okay. No problem. Oh, she's not going to concede. She's not going to concede. Of course, having her, I think, might be better than having your existing governor, if you want to know the truth. Might very well be better.
So here's where we're left. Trump is going around saying that having Stacey Abrams, the Democrat, would be better than having the current ultra-conservative Brian Kemp, the guy who ran the campaign ad of him pointing a shotgun at a boy who wanted to date his daughter. That guy's not conservative enough for Trump, if you forget. And Kemp still has to be like, oh no, they're the best. They're awesome. Oh, he's trying to destroy me. He's lying about me. He's the best. And here's the thing, JR. Kemp is whooping up on Perdue in the polls, at least. I mean, who knows what'll happen, but all the recent polls show him with a handy lead. So why not project strength? Why not say, you know what? Trump wants to attack me. That's on Trump. The people are in my corner. I'm gonna win on my own. Instead, he is like deflecting a guy who is continually kicking him in the face.
Well, he doesn't have to. That's kind of what I was actually thinking. I said he's so head and shoulders ahead of David Perdue. He's like, I don't have to actually be adversarial. I don't have to respond to the negativity. I can look like the guy that's above the fray. And these two are fighting about me, but I'm just floating over them going, nice fight you got going down there. He doesn't want to alienate anyone or even insert himself from his point of view into this fight. And actually, it's probably the best way to go because Donald Trump was already slinging mud, and you might as well just go ahead and look at it landing next to your feet because of his position he's in as far as this race. But again, if there's no other illustration of how much Donald Trump thinks America is him or everything about America is him because he has a dictatorial mindset, it's for him to then point out how much better he thinks, which he doesn't actually think Stacey Abrams would be over Brian Kemp, who, as you point out, did everything conservative leadership would want, everything Donald Trump would want, except this one thing about the 2020 election. That is the only thing Donald Trump cares about. Nothing else matters because that is him. If it's about him, that's America. Him losing the election thinks America lost an election. Sure. It's insane. That's the only thing on his mind. If you disagree with that, you don't exist to him because he's got a lot of issues he doesn't want to come out and needs to be president again to make sure they do not.
And even in that area where he has the biggest issue with Kemp, which is that Kemp didn't do something that is literally impossible, which is somehow hand him the election. It's not like Kemp opposes him in that general area. Since that election, 100%. Kemp passed their insane voter suppression bill. That is all that Trump wanted done. He did it. And by the way, Kemp had already passed voter suppression legislation prior to his previous run against Stacey Abrams. He has been trying to suppress the vote. Brian Kemp has never seen a black voter he didn't want to bar from doing that. So what is your problem, buddy? Like, he's already doing everything that you want, but that isn't enough. It isn't enough. And Kemp has an opportunity here to realize this is a cult. It's insane. He's not gonna distance himself. And look, I get that on some level. You're sort of right about staying above the fray. He is currently leading. Maybe if he were to viciously attack Trump, that lead could fall apart. But man, after the primary, just do it. You've already made it effectively impossible for the Democrats, or as much as you can with legislation, made it impossible for the Democrats to win.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.